Did I ever do an Alex Jones impression on this podcast? I feel like that's something I would have done.
Yeah, I'm sure at some point.
I'm sure we've done it. It's old hat for us. You know what? You know, what'd be different. What if I just did the podcast intro in Spanish?
Okay.
What about that? I can't do it, but what if I did?
I thought you've been doing that Duolingo. I thought we were going to be ready for this.
I mean, I
Hola,
think I'm
mis
like three.
amigos. Benvidos, simple fi.
Benvito.
Something like
No,
that,
I mean
right?
like
I don't know.
yeah. I mean, I'm like 2 or 3 words short of the intro. I don't know how to say the host. So I was gonna say I was the king of Simplify, but that's the
That's
only
your
real.
that's your homework. That's your homework is next week.
All right.
Say it in Spanish. We have a bye week, so you have some time.
First down, goes to the sidelines, has a man wide
Those moments reminds me of last year in the Garden against St. John. And guys just stepped up. Blake hits a what the hell 3. You know, we're like, what are you doing? And he's done that all year.
Klicka out to Bizzario. It's over. The Pitt Panthers have upset Wisconsin.
Anybody, if he hits his field goal, up and got it. Sauls does it again.
Buenos días, buenas noches. No lo sé cuando me escuchas. Bienvenidos a Simplify Podcast. No, I'm Zach. I'm fucking with you. I'm Zach Kaminsky, one with the Simplify Podcast. I'm your host. I'm joined by my 2 co-hosts, Mason Kling, Kent Vanderwood. We're back. We're 6-0 for the first time since 1982.
Let's go. Feels like 82.
That doesn't really have the same ring to it. You know what I mean?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. But 6-0 is a great feeling.
Yeah, and Kent, welcome back. You've been busy the last couple of weeks. How does it feel back to be on the microphone, on the horn?
I'm ready to go. If we're going around the horn style, I better get some points today. Let's go.
How do they even keep track on that show? There's no sense or rhyme to that reason, I swear.
So
Nah.
there isn't. It is simply the host makes it up as they go along. They're allowed to award points however they want. It's an evil system.
I'm going to hire a third party to come and sit on Simplify and just award us points at random and see who wins.
We need like a council of all of our enemies, right? Just like we have a West Virginia fan in one corner, Penn State fan, the other one, like I guess a Syracuse fan, maybe Virginia Tech, but like it has to be a unbiased council of people who equally hate all of our guys.
Yeah, that's the only fair way to do it.
Yeah, but I mean, we're here. We're here to talk Pitt sports, and we're here to talk about the 17-15 win from this Saturday over Cal. I will say though, before we get to it, there's sort of a bad omen going around. I kind of realized this after the game, but on Friday, number 1 Pitt soccer loses to Cal at home. Then just prior to the game, volleyball loses in 5 sets at SMU. That should have been like, you knew something funky was going to happen after the 2 top Pitt teams go down in rapid succession, with Pitt football opening up at 3:30. But they play their worst game all year on offense. It had every hallmark of a bad Pitt loss, and they still won. So I was at the game. I want to know, what were you guys seeing on TV? Because obviously our seats are in the end zone, so it's a little tougher to see all the way down, anything like that.
You want to start us off, Mace?
Yeah, it was kind of confusing. It was stressful as hell. Just to our units kind of flipped what they normally do, right? Defense has struggled at points this year. Offense has looked incredible. It was like both of them just decided to take the other's role. Offense looked pretty lackluster. No surprise there. I don't think we scored a single point in the second half,
Nope.
which is crazy. I think that's the first time we've not scored in a half in one since maybe ever. I don't know. They said something about it on the broadcast, but it was not a fun. It was not a fun watch. I'll tell you that much, Zach.
Yeah, I'll give you some
Yeah,
stats
I mean,
behind, and
outside
like
of
you.
that fourth down,
Go ahead.
just outside of that fourth down touchdown, from as you know, the offense was, fairly stagnant for most of this game. Not a lot of those explosive plays where we kind of, just kind of break out like we have the rest of this season. But like you guys kind of said, it's great to have a game like that ultimately. Where what normally works for you doesn't work, and you still find a way to win. That's what good teams do. So
That was like my immediate takeaway from this game was I'm a big believer in the hallmark of a great football team is one that can have an absolute stinker of a game and still finds a way to win. I think that's like all the good teams have a way to just eke out wins. And for a lot of this game, I wasn't sure we were going to do that. So in my mind, Pitt went from good to, even though it's not a great win, they kind of went from good to great in my eyes, if that makes sense.
That does, and I'll give you guys some stats just on the game overall. Kent, you mentioned that long fourth down run where Dez scores. I think it's like a 70-something yard play. Outside of that one play, the offense had 205 yards all day. Now, they were terrible on third down. They would frequently get to third and short and just not be able to convert. It just very, very bad on third down. They've been not too great on third down all year, but they go for it on fourth so much that you kind of forget about it. The two picks that Eli threw were brutal. He also almost lost a fumble too, but those two picks, I mean, the deep shot one was just a miscommunication, no idea where he was throwing it, but the second one where he threw it over the middle, he just threw that way too late and just threw it into triple coverage, had a backer just eating that like food. For
that one
sure.
the first one was really rough because I mean you get the ball 1st and 10 at the opposite 31-yard line. You hadn't scored in the second half to that point, and you just immediately turn it over on the first play. Like that's tough.
Yeah, because we would have had a field goal. Like if they just run the ball 3 times, even we would have been in field goal range, right?
Yep, and at that point it was 17-9, so that makes it a two possession game. At a minimum, if you don't turn it over and you throw a really bad interception on the first play.
Yeah, I
and I
forgot
do
how
gotta
big.
give. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say I forgot how big that swing was. When Kent and I were watching, we were like, okay, finally some points, and then yeah, maybe not.
That was really the entire second half where Pitt just needed 3 points to put this game away and never got it just because the offense was so lackluster. I mean, I will give credit to Cal where it's due. I think that they're without a doubt the best coached defense we've seen all year. Definitely like the linebackers, those two linebackers, 0 and 10, were playing with their head on fire. They had a great D line, as well as, for 75% of this game, the starting left guard and left tackle are both out. I think that Collier at guard and Enos at tackle did a pretty good job, but it's something to sort of harp on when you look back at the game. Although, really, we've been talking about the offense the whole time, and I think we're overdue for a really bad freshman game from Eli to this point, just because he'd been playing with fire for some of his throws. I think the third down stuff comes to bite him, playing against a good defense. MVPs of the game, though, Ben Sauls and motherfucking defense. I think that Ben Sauls obviously got his flowers. He's the ACC Specialist of the Week for his 58-yard field goal, ties a Pitt record, was the difference in this game. And then Jimmy Scott gets
That
D lineman of the week with 3 sacks.
that Ben Sauls field goal would have been good from like 63, dude. It
Yeah.
was that was a boot.
It was funny because it was a little bit it was a little lower than it looked on the broadcast, but from my point of view, like I was like, oh my god, it's going in. Like that was awesome.
It
And
it was like, for watching on TV, it was like never a doubt. I feel like he kicked it and never left the uprights. And me and Ken were both just like, holy shit, he nailed that.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
he fucking nailed it.
he did. There was also
Compared
a
to
one of the kickoffs he kicked. We were like watching on TV, and even our Pitt fan friends that were with us watching were like, "Oh my god!" Like he drilled that kick. Like he kicked it like 15 rows deep in in the stands on a kickoff. It was insane.
Was there some wind going on, Zach? Like at the field, was it gusting? Because it didn't look inherently windy either. So he just has
no,
that
not
much of a
really.
leg, huh?
I mean, all year he's just been. I don't think he's had one kickoff that hasn't. I can't remember a Ben Salt's kickoff that has not gone for a touchback. Like he's a touchback machine.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we probably knew this before, but me and Kent were both like, man, he really. It might drop his stock a little bit that he's like a lefty, but he has a decent shot of being a kicker in the NFL with the performance he's been putting on this year.
I think at the very least he's probably going to be like an all-American candidate at kicker just because he still hasn't missed a single extra point or field goal the entire year.
Knock on wood. Knock on wood. Knock on wood.
I'm
Uh,
knocking. I'm
Gotcha.
knocking.
But yeah, he's been fantastic. Like Mason said, yeah, that kick was right down the middle. Would have been good from that. I mean, that tied a school record, 58, one short of the Heinz Field / Acrisure Stadium record held by Chris Boswell, 1 yard longer than that. And like he said, it would have been good from at least five more yards. Like that was good from at least 63. So,
And
um,
it wasn't like he was kicking a 58 yarder like in garbage time in a game that didn't matter. I guess maybe at the time we didn't know it was going to be such a difference maker, but when you end up winning the game by 2 points, it literally was the difference.
yeah, like
Yeah.
that's the game winning kick. And it came with a minute 50 left in the first half.
Yeah, I mean, he was on all game. I got to say also, special teams as a whole have been pretty good this year. Like Caleb Junko, the punter, who all last year we were very quick to rag on because last year he sucked, has been very good this year and has not had a terrible punt where I wanted to rip my hair out. So
Knock on
shout
wood,
out
knock
to
on wood.
him. Okay, man. All right, I get it, but
Yeah, I was gonna mention Junko as well. I mean, outside of one punt where he kicked it down um, inside their 5, they ended up returning it to their 8 or so. Every single punt was over 50 yards. I just double checked, but yeah, he did a good job. Not putting the defense in a poor position off of the many punts that he had to give us. So
yeah. And then I guess what we really haven't talked about yet is the defense. I mean, I think they were number one. They were really good in the running game. I think they only let up maybe 50 yards. They're a little weak against the pass, but Narduzzi defenses are always kind of susceptible to long chunk passes. Just in the years watching this team, but I mean the defensive front really got after Mendoza. 6 sacks on the day, ton of tackles for loss, and it was led by Jimmy Scott with 3 sacks. I think Nick James had a tackle for loss or 2 in there, and then Braylon Lovelace with a huge game, 2 sacks for him. Kyle Lewis had a sack as well. I mean, they were getting in the backfield all day, and they are what won the game for us because outside of a broken play and a long field goal, the offense couldn't put a lot of points on the board.
Yeah, they were great all day. Obviously, kind of like Mason said earlier. The offense was kind of carrying the team the first five games. Today the offense, or this weekend the offense didn't have it. Um, Defense really had to stand up, and they did a great job in returning the favor for the offense for some of the poor performances on their side of the ball the last few weeks. So
The run game was pretty non-existent for them, and I'm not sure how much of that was Ott being out versus the defense kind of just standing on its head. Um, but I really think that when we talked about the preview last week, Zach, we said limit the big plays that they had, like they had against Miami, and just kind of contain them. I'd say they kind of even went above and beyond what we thought they were going to do with the containment because they looked awesome.
Yeah, definitely. I think at least in the running game, whoever number 25 was, I can't remember his name, but he's been their better back all year. Ott has been dealing with injuries all year, I believe, a leg injury. And we really contained him in the running game. I think he had like under 50 yards, something like that. Maybe just a little hair over. In terms of containing big plays, yeah, I mean, they got some chunk plays in the passing game, but never more than like 10 or 15 yards. And, they obviously gave up a ton of stuff on third down, but, they didn't end up giving up a 60-yard touchdown or a 70-yard touchdown. No big bomb strikes. They always at least kept them out of the end zone on those bigger plays when they couldn't get them to punt. Um, the only other thing I want to say is how the fuck did their kicker miss that? I thought we were dead in the water.
yeah, that was obviously the next big thing we had to cover was this horrendous missed field goal. Um, the kicker from Pittsburgh, they kept saying
Really?
it on the broadcast, and they were showing him on the sidelines getting ready. As I'm pretty sure Cal just ran three straight runs up the middle, kind of when they got into his comfortable field goal range, and it was a 40-yarder, and it was just a duck. Like it was disgustingly
Oh,
low. Like, it was maybe the ugliest missed field goal I've seen in a while.
so it wasn't a 40-yarder. I believe it was a 24-yarder. Let me double
It's
check this here.
ESPN. I have it. I have the game log pulled up. It says 40, but unless that's wrong. But
Maybe it was on the 24. It might have been on the 24. I think that would make more sense. But
yeah, that
yeah,
would
I
make
mean,
it.
in the stadium, like I was like me and my dad both knew like, oh, they're gonna lose this right here, and then they didn't, and that was fantastic. Do you guys have anything else on this game in particular? Because I think we've covered everything. I think that
I have one more.
before, go ahead.
After the missed field goal, Pitt almost gave me a heart attack, along with pretty much the whole broadcast team, when they decided to. Cal didn't have any timeouts left on the third down. They decided third and long. They decided to pass it. Um, if that's incomplete, you're giving Cal twice as much time to go down with a chance to win it. But luckily, it was complete to Gavin Bartholomew. But um, they really should just ran the ball there.
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of like you kind of have to live with it with Cade Bell because you're going to get the fourth down run for 70 yards to put your team up, or to put your team up 7-6, and then you're going to get the nail biting, butthole clenching third down pass when you're trying to salt away a game. I
I feel
agree. I
like he
did not
just,
like that at all.
especially because like he wasn't running a route that even really had potential to get the first. Like he caught it a
Mhm.
good 5 yards short of the stick, and I don't know. It was just like felt like way too big of a risk. We didn't really even get any of the reward of almost getting a first down. It was just super risky for a run would have done the same exact thing.
Yeah,
But
we still ended up with like a 4th and 5.
yeah,
Yeah, we were third and 11 to fourth and 4. I don't love that call. Yeah, I agree.
It's fine though because it worked out.
Yeah, and I will say I almost forgot this, but the crowd throughout the day, it was not great in the middle, but at the end when the defense was like really turning itself up, like especially on that very last drive where they went 4 and out, they were deep in Pitt territory. The crowd was turning up, and it was really fucking loud in that end zone. Student section was great. Um, that's all I got. We're 6-0. I mean,
It's 6-0. I
it's
mean, doesn't matter how you do it. 6-0 and 6-0. Win's a win.
wins a win. Well timed bye week to work on all this stuff we've been talking about. I think we saw a lot of good stuff from the defense, especially the D line, especially like the corners were pretty good today too. Like the young corners were good. Um, I think if you just
Wait,
sort of if this is Eli's worst game, this is his worst game.
yeah, yeah. I do have one more thing. Um, we have to give a shout out to Cal for being dum dums, and on the very first touchdown of the game that they scored, they went and did a trick play off a field goal, a PAT attempt, tried to go for two, didn't get it, and
Yeah,
that actually was a big difference maker down the road of the game.
Dude, they did another on their second touchdown when they obviously they tied at 14. They did another really bad trick play. Whenever they brought in the backup quarterback, Rogers, everyone knew what they were trying to do, trying to get really cute with it, trying to run the ball in some crazy ass way. And those plays never worked.
Yeah,
yeah, that's a good point, Mace. I actually completely forgot about that, but that was a huge. Obviously, you win by two. A team basically forfeited those 2 points to let you win. Would have been a tie game late if they don't do that on the first play or first drive. After Pitt goes 3 and out, like yeah, and if you're gonna do it, you're gonna go for two, dude. Yeah, you run a fake where your kicker's throwing it. Guy was actually wide open. Kicker made a horrible pass. Uh,
yeah. But
Yeah.
that's why you run, to Zach's point too. That's why if you're going to go for two, just line up with your best athletes and your best players out there. Don't try to get all cute with it and put the ball in players' hands where you don't know what kind of decision they're going to make.
yeah,
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 I mean,
I agree. But yeah, I mean, shout out to them, like you said. Thank
Yeah,
you. Um,
yeah.
as soon
I
as they
mean,
did that, I was like, all right, let's go. Like,
I guess what the thought process is, if this was still very early in the first quarter, their thought process is maybe it's going to be a high
steal a
scoring game.
point.
Yeah, let's try to
Yeah.
let's try to get something here, but then it turned into just this rock fight, and then they were behind the eight ball. So I guess they were looking at the ESPN analytics that always say to go for it, but it's fine by me.
Yeah. I think that it was a very weird game from Cal, like you mentioned. Like they were really cooking on offense. Like Mendoza, like to his credit, 27 to 37. He kept this offense afloat when they couldn't really run the ball. But like in key situations, right? They did that weird kicker pass that he just whiffed. The long snapper was wide open, but he did look very funny reaching for the ball, I will say. Whenever they put in the Rodgers, their like gadget QB, that sucked. He had 3 rushes on the day for 0 yards. Like they consistently took it out of Mendoza's hands at the worst possible times, especially when their defense was just pitching a complete shutout in the second. Like sort of some baffling decisions. And I think the broadcast might have said it. I saw this going around, but Pitt knows how to win a close game and Cal doesn't. And I think there's something to that.
Absolutely.
yeah, it's one of the things that we love about our team so far this year. Not every win's been pretty. I guess that kind of leads into like the. I know I saw some people are upset about like Pitt only being number 20 at this point, but I'm like, if you look at the resumes, also the fact that nobody besides Utah above them really lost, other than like Ohio State lost to Oregon. Like I'm like, where did you want them to go? Every win's been pretty close. They haven't beaten anybody that's like super notable at this point. Like I think 20 is pretty on par with where I would expect. So
Yeah, when you don't have those like super heavy hitter games, it's more of a slow climb than Pitt was never going to be a team to jump until Clemson. That's the only time I feel like we really have the potential to jump up like we did again.
Yeah.
So right now it's just scratching and clawing, keep making our way 1 and 2 spots at a time.
And especially if you're not like blowing teams out.
Yeah.
You know, you're winning these
Yeah.
games by 2-3 points. You know, they're good wins, don't get me wrong, but like, you know, keep winning. Just win. All that matters, just keep winning. It'll come with time.
Yep.
Like I said, but like, it's like, you know, if you with the type of teams that we're playing, if you really want to be up there, you got to be beating them by 20 points, 30 points.
I will say, only other problem I have with the AP poll, and this was brought to my attention by somebody on Twitter today, but if you go and look at our resume versus Iowa State's resume, they're not all that different. And they came in at what, like 8 or 9 this go around?
Yeah,
Just
Indiana too. I mean, Indiana's undefeated, but it's like, look at
Okay,
it.
so I will say Iowa State and Indiana are margin things. You guys mentioned it, but Pitt only had, Pitt's obviously undefeated, but of all of their power conference wins, only one, and that's UNC, is by more than one score. And then Indiana less so, but Iowa State was already a well-regarded team coming into the year. And it's
fair.
very hard to fight preseason projections, right? Like you're always battling them if you don't start the year in the top 25. And then I think Indiana got their attention when they dumped like fucking 70 points on UCLA or whatever. Like they just got it in a week where they just hopped in. I tend not to worry. I
Yeah.
try not to worry about the AP poll too much. I think it is a fair rating, but the combination of the one score wins and then like, you know, the one score wins, the preseason projections, like you see it with like the advanced stats too, where like unfortunately everything needs a little bit of time to catch up when a team like Pitt arrives and it doesn't factor into how you thought they were going to be this season.
Yeah, and to be fair, we do have a common opponent with Iowa State, and we were at home and won by a couple points, and coming back from 10 down with a few minutes left, and they beat them in their house by double digits. So it's like, you know, I can't be that mad.
Yeah, I will be till the
All right,
day I die. Just kidding.
that's fair, but I actually do want to spring a question on you guys. Halfway through the season, 6-0, we're about to enter our bye week. So, at the halfway point, I want you guys to give me your team MVP, Offensive Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, and Most Improved Player. We'll start with MVP. I want to hear your MVPs first.
I feel like I gotta go with Eli.
Yeah,
You know what, dude? Des Reed. You said we're doing MVP, Offensive Player of the Year, and Defense Player of the Year.
Yeah.
And most improved. Okay, so yeah, I gotta go MVP Eli.
it's a quarterback. That's a quarterback award.
Yeah.
That's I'm with you, Kent. That's my pick as well.
I am
Yep.
going to go Dez for the MVP. I think that his production when Rodney was unavailable, he has stepped up. Like if Ashton Genty didn't exist, Des Reed would be the most like talked about running back in the country. And like there are games like UNC, the Brawl this week where if he doesn't do what he does, we are not 6-0. But also, I see why you give it to Eli. So it's pretty obvious.
Yeah, I mean, leading up to this week too, you know, obviously Des has been electric. You can't be mad at giving it to either one of these guys. Those are the two obvious, the two obvious candidates to this point. But you know, Eli's been having a great season, spreading the ball around to a lot of different guys, putting up over 300 yards passing, pretty much on average each week, 3 touchdowns. Didn't have many turnovers going into this week. Had a couple ugly ones this week, but like overall, he's been really good.
All right, Offensive Player of the Year. I think I know where we're all going to go with this one. Are you guys going to say Des Reed and I'm going to say Eli Holstein?
Yep. Yep.
Correct.
All right. Perfect. So, Defensive Player of the Year. Who do you guys have?
Dude, I'm gonna go with Brandon George so far. He's just having a great year. Has scoop and score on a black punt too. So between defensive touchdown, captain, just leader on the defense, been making a lot of good plays.
He was on my, he was a finalist. If this was the Heisman, he would have went to New York. But I'm going with Kyle Lewis. Um, Seems like a guy that really just he has a nose for the ball. He's always um, making plays. I think he has 2 interceptions this year, and I think he might
Correct.
be. I'm not sure how many tackles Brandon George has, but I think Kyle Lewis. I'm trying to pull it up right now. 23, so about the
Here,
same amount of tackles. Um, he. I just feel like every time I watch the game, I just see number 9, and it's like that was a solid play on defense. Oh, that was a good play in coverage. Like tackle for a lot. Like I don't know. He just does everything.
yeah. So I'm also going to go with Kyle Lewis. Like you said, he is second on the team in solo tackles and total tackles, only behind Donovan McMillan. He's got 2 picks, 3 sacks, 8.5 tackles for a loss, a pass breakup, and a forced fumble, which I think is pretty good. Um, I was pretty high on him coming into the season. He has only just gone past what I thought he could do. I think the if I had to pick somebody different, I'd probably go with Donovan McMillan. If Jimmy Scott keeps playing the way he did yesterday, he can be sort of the finalist at the end of the year. But yeah, I'll say McMillan. I'll say
I
McMillan.
was gonna
He's
say
making money in his senior year.
I think that any of those 3 guys that we said probably could have won it. They're all guys I would feel very comfortable with, like as the heart of the Pitt defense, so to say.
You cut out for a second there.
Zach, I think you asked that on Twitter earlier. What do you have like poll results or anything for the
I think
fans?
I think pretty. Let me see. A lot of people I think kind of gave the same answers. Let's see. Let's see. Let's go through the answers. Let's let's find the tweet. Let's play find the tweet. That's always a great thing to do live on air is to play find the tweet. I'm trying to see if anyone actually gave a different answer for anything so far. Because no,
I mean,
everyone gave the
So
same answers. We have. Go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say. I mean, the first 2 are kind of giveaways. It's like, all right, if you're gonna pick between those 2 guys, defense player. There might be some disparity there, but yeah, like it's probably not much.
did anybody get crazy and put like Kanata Mumpfield or Kenny Johnson as their offensive player of the year?
They did not. They did not. For defensive player of the year, Kyle Lewis took it home in a landslide. I will say, going around most improved player, Brandon George shows up quite a bit. Mumfield shows up. Rashad Battle, the cornerback, as well. Sean Fitzsimmons, the D tackle, as well as did I say Mumfield already? Did I? I did. Yes, I did.
Yeah, at least in my field.
Um, yeah. Do you guys have any different players for most improved? I suppose.
Caleb Junko.
Dude, I was thinking Caleb
Kind
Junko.
of.
I
Dude,
mean,
go
it's
ahead.
tough to like look at
Yeah.
a it's tough to look at a guy who, I mean, some games he might only come out on the field like 2 or 3 times. So it's tough to look at him and say he's most improved. But he's starting to get looks as like one of the better punters in the country, alongside Ben Sauls as one of the better kickers in the country. So, um, yeah, that's my answer. I'll stick to.
Dude, I might go Ben Sauls just because he's been perfect this year so far. It's 10 for 10 field goals. Last year he was 11 for 16. Um, I am just very impressed with him so far, especially because some of the kicks he's taken so far are like 58. His longest last year was 47. Um, yeah, I'll go Ben Sauls.
Yeah,
Obviously,
he's
Ben
having a
Sauls
bounce back year.
rather good. 2 years ago, UCLA game, bowl game like that, he was insane. But last year, we kind of felt him regress a little bit. I'm happy to give him most improved / comeback player of the year.
I think just to get a weird one out there, I want to go with Cruz Brookins, the redshirt freshman, just for breaking the defensive back rotation as a redshirt freshman in a Jersey defense. Very impressive. So I'll go with them, and we'll revisit these at the end of the year. Of course, we have 6 games coming up after the bye. We'll talk about those later and next week because Pitt is off. So with
Dude,
that
how
going,
how cool is it that we're sorry? How cool is it that we're bowl eligible already?
not only bowl eligible, but doubled the amount of wins from last year. And it's October 14th.
I think we've also now surpassed our point total from last year as well. Was that correct?
Uh,
Where's
how
our
many
watch
points did I
at?
say we needed?
I thought we needed like 14.
If we needed 14, we're good. We also surpassed our preseason win total as well. I think we're at 5.5. So that if you
That's
bet
pretty cool.
that, cha-ching.
Yeah, if anybody out there can show me a Pittsburgh win total, alternate win total of 9 plus, you get a kudos by me. That would be a cool bet.
Okay. Nice. I did check it out. We did pass our point total by 3 points in half the games. So Frank Signetti, every day that he is not in Guantanamo Bay, is just spitting in the face of the justice system, and we can't stand for that.
Yeah.
Want to recap some other games? Look forward to some what's on when Pitt's not playing, shall we, gents?
Sure.
Yeah.
So in the ACC is sort of a sleepy week. Going to go through this pretty fast. Clemson beats Wake Forest 49-15. Stanford gets pasted by Notre Dame 49-7. Georgia Tech beats UNC on the road 41-34. Louisville beats Virginia 24-20. And Syracuse beats NC State 24-17. Do you have thoughts on any of these games?
No.
That's yeah. The only thing of note I think is that Louisville sort of separated itself from like Virginia in like that second class of teams, and Mac Brown is just basically shitting his pants until he dies.
That boy old.
He looks like a fucking vampire on TV, man. He looks bad. Um, Other scores around college football. Cam Rising is dead. Utah loses to Arizona State 27-19 on Friday night. Hand up, my bad for believing in Utah again, for falling for the Cam Rising trick. They fooled me. They got me. Another year down the drain. Get that boy a job and get him on LinkedIn. He cannot play football anymore.
We need
3
like a
picks.
Cam. We need a Cam Rising AA meeting because I believed in that boy too.
It's, ugh, I don't know. I mean, other things before we get to the big games here. I'm keeping an eye on Tennessee and Bama because they looked bad this week against poor competition against Florida and South Carolina, respectively. We mentioned earlier, Iowa State killed West Virginia. Kansas State beat Colorado on the road, sort of your Big 12 favorites there. Then in the Big 10,
Shout out Deion Hayes.
Oh yeah.
dude. Okay, so you guys see that I posted the stats comparing Deion Hayes' season to Jimmy Scott's game
Yeah.
on Saturday. So someone, not me, because I wouldn't do this, right? But they tagged Deion Hayes in their replies, and then I looked at the same reply later, and that reply, when it added him, it no longer linked to him. So that means that Deion Hayes saw that tweet and then removed himself from the tweet. So he has seen me making fun of him, comparing his stats to
As he should, dude. As he should. He needs to get all the grief ever for that comment, bro. They just can't win now. Like, bro, just be honest. Say you went for. They gave you the bag.
Yeah, if he just said why he actually went, like I will never be mad at a player for saying they paid me a hell of a lot more. I
dude.
do
The
get mad
comments
when
that this team isn't built to win now looks so bad now. After we are, is Colorado 4-2 or are they 3-3? I
they
forget.
I think they're 4-2.
Even so, saying a team can't win now and then them being 6-0 is such a terrible look. And I'm not going to say who on the air, but there is someone who liked that tweet, which makes that tweet even funnier looking at their stats side by side. It's not Jimmy Scott. It's not Deion Hayes, but it's a secret third person.
Why is it a secret?
I'm not going to say it live on air. That'd blow up the spot, man.
That's good
I text,
marketing right there.
They are confirmed.
I texted it to you. Check it out.
Okay.
It's in the group chat.
Yeah,
You have to scroll back.
Yeah, that is. I laughed at that text. That is a cool person to like that tweet.
Yeah.
But yeah,
The other thing is
confirmed 4-2, by the way.
4-2. Okay. I did want to say before going back before making fun of Van Hayes some more. Big Ten. Do you guys want to talk about Oregon or Penn State first?
Oregon, because I watched that.
Yeah, I didn't watch the Penn State game either. I was hoping one of you did, but if
It was on at the bar next to us, and there were some obnoxious Penn State fans next to us that we really wanted to talk shit to if Pitt won and Penn State lost, but they pulled it out.
they were down big at half, right?
Yeah, they were down 20-6 at half, I believe. USC really had just like a couple big plays, like home run plays that got them up, and then Penn State kind of tightened the screws on them, and they didn't really do anything. I think they only had 10 points in the second half. Yeah, and then, USC basically blew our chance at having a very funny Saturday, but.
Dude, they have been getting worked in the Big Ten. They're not having fun. They're not having a good time. They're
One
losing all
and
these
three
games.
in the Big Ten. 1-3 in the Big Ten.
1-3 in the Big Ten. All three of those losses coming in the fashion of blowing the game, crapping your pants. Lincoln Riley is not having fun. Oregon though beats Ohio State at home 32-31. I caught the very end of this game and also the funny ass onside kick. I want to hear your guys' thoughts on it though.
Oregon just solidified to me that this is obviously their coming out party in the Big Ten. And it really just proved to me that they can win the national championship. They are 100% good enough. And I don't know. They're just Dylan Gabriel, super, super fun to watch in that offense. Their defense is also, I know they gave up 31 points, but it's Ohio State. Their defense is no pushover, kind of like USC's was a little bit in the second half. And yeah, in Eugene, they got it done, and they have the upper hand now in the Big Ten.
Dylan Gabriel's kind of this year who you guys thought Cam Rising might be. I think he's been around forever.
Yeah.
He fun fact is I think you guys know this. He was the QB for UCF when Kenny Pickett had the Pitt 6 not the Pitt 6, the Pitt special. Quarterback for UCF at that time was Dylan Gabriel. That's how long he's been around. Like,
Dude, so I feel like I did know that, but it feels like lifetimes ago that I totally forgot that was the same player.
yeah, like that's crazy.
Wow.
That I don't like that. That made me feel really old. I don't like that fun fact.
Dude, what is it
That's a
about
not
like
very fun fact.
Oregon with like the resurgence of quarterbacks? Like I feel like Bo Nix went there and kind of made a comeback a little bit, enough to get drafted and play for the Broncos. Dylan Gabriel's kind of doing it now too after a couple hiccups in the beginning of the year. Like DJ
The thing with
DJ Uyunglele, he picked the wrong Oregon to go to if he was trying to revitalize his career.
Well, the funny
Going to
thing is
Oregon
that
State.
he kind of did revitalize
I
his
get
career at Oregon State. The issue is that he went somewhere else afterwards and then just totally flunked.
yeah.
He just punched it out from there. I
yeah.
did see a stat that made me laugh though. Dylan Gabriel had only thrown to the right side of the field 12 times prior to the Ohio State game, and then they just started doing it. And I don't know if that's something that like is too big brain or something that Dan Lanning would absolutely do.
That would be very
He's also
funny
a
if he
lefty
was
too, right?
if he was saving all the right side throws for Ohio State. That would be a funny thing to pull out.
Now,
He was
did you
fired
guys
up
see
after the game.
Yeah. Did you see the what was it called? The Polish defense strategy coined by famous Eagles head coach Buddy Ryan.
Was there one of those in this game?
So at the end of the game, when Oregon, second last play of the game, Oregon people are thinking that they put 12 guys on the field on purpose to kill some clock and only give up 5 yards because 12 men's not a dead ball foul in college. So they think they put a 12th guy on the field on purpose to kill about 5 seconds of clock and more than likely not give up that many yards. Ended up only giving up 5 just from the penalty. And then on the next play, Will Howard slides down with zeros on the clock. People are thinking that Dan Lanning did a purposeful 12 men defense.
Oh, I did see that, and that is actually very smart. That's like one of those plays that's just like basically taking advantage of the loophole in the rule book there. Basically, just guaranteeing like they're not going to get a big play by just having an extra man. You run a little bit of time off the clock, and then you, just go 11 men for the next play. Game over.
I'm surprised we haven't seen more of that, honestly. It feels like there's a couple other times that especially in the college game, that we would have seen that.
I know it's like it feels like something you could very easily exploit, but at the same time, if the purposeful 12-man defense becomes like a new thing, I would hate it so much because then you just have unwatchable games.
Yeah, I mean,
It would just
I don't know how you would really like ban that.
I guess it would be something along the lines of,
you could find the
well,
coaches.
yeah, but I feel like a lot of them don't care. They'd rather win and get a fine than.
Winning probably gets you more money than
Yeah.
costs you.
I don't know. I'm sure there's some way they could figure out how to not do it, but I kind of like those weird rules where like they can't change it in the middle of the season. So
Oh, I got
I
it.
like when the college
way
game
to
says weird stuff like that.
the way to fix it is to make it a dead ball foul, so you don't run any time off the clock. Then you're just giving up 5 yards for free.
Yeah, I guess so.
I mean, that's basically how you fix it.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, we just fixed college football.
Bam. All right. Pitt's off this week. Let's real quick run through the slate of games you can watch while Pitt's not playing. I'll run through the ACC first because, honestly, I was looking at this slate. I was not a huge fan of this week. I'm going to run through everything, and then I'll let you guys chime in just at the end for y'all picks and shit. Weeknight games. We got BC at Virginia Tech on Thursday, 7:30 on ESPN. Sort of probably a boring game, but two very funny quarterbacks, physical comedy style quarterbacks that are always down to have the dumbest turnover you've ever seen. On Friday, Florida State goes to Duke. Um, that is sub 500 Florida State at 5-1 Duke, which is just a very funny thing to think about. Then moving into the weekend, the game of the week in the conference, and actually one I do want to talk about, is Miami at Louisville, 12 o'clock on ABC. This is probably the best chance you're going to see for Miami to maybe drop a game here in conference play. On the road, they've been playing with fire the last couple games. Louisville is competent enough. They're sort of in that second tier of teams in this conference where I think that if Louisville is up for this game, and they just had like a freshman running back breakout last week, like they can do it against Miami.
Dude, yeah, like you say, it kind of seems like Miami's like due for a loss. Like they just
They're
keep
due.
going. They could probably say the same about us, but like they're winning these close games. Like they're kind of hanging on by a thread. Um, I think that's on the road. The people of Louisville love their Cardinals, man. That's a pretty good fan base. They're gonna be loud. That should be a good one.
The fact that, I mean, I know Miami's look questionable at this point, and Louisville's still probably one of the better teams here in the ACC, but Miami is only a 4-point favorite. Feels like not like that's too low of a line. I know that we're saying they're due for a loss and all this stuff, which is fine. You can take Louisville money line if you want, but if Miami wins this game, I would also argue that they're due for kind of a blowout. Just saying.
Hmm.
Four
I mean,
four
I don't know.
points is the number 6 team in the country against Louisville, who's looked okay, but not enough to be a 4-point underdog against Miami. I don't know. That's just my thought process here.
I think the line is sort of a confluence of two things, right? Like, I think that everyone knows that Miami is a supremely talented team, but like even so, against lesser opponents, they just do not. They let other teams hang around too much. They obviously let them get back in games. They almost lose them. They just aren't winning games in the ACC by more than one score, and I think that maybe unfairly, like the books are trying to predict a loss somewhere, and this would be the one game you would predict it. I mean, I don't know. Just the weakness of the Miami defense being that back end, just being so leaky, is like a really bad matchup against Louisville, which even though I don't love Tyler Shuck as a quarterback, I think he kind of sucks. At least can throw the ball where players will catch it. But
Fair.
that is the big game in the conference because the rest of the slate is awful. It is Virginia going to Clemson. Don't care. Wake Forest at UConn. Don't care. Notre Dame at Georgia Tech. 3:30. Don't care. NC State at Cal at 3:30. That one, I believe, is two winless teams in the conference, so that is sort of a toilet bowl fermenting there. And then SMU goes to Stanford at 8 for the nightcap. They've been putting some really bad games in these nightcap slates for the ACC. Around the rest of college football, I'm not seeing many better games. My top picks for the weekend: Oregon at Purdue, 8 o'clock on Friday. I'm just looking there. That is a classic Big Ten trap game. Is Purdue on a weeknight after a big win? Nebraska at Indiana at noon on Fox, I think, is the best game in that slate outside of Miami at Louisville. You obviously have Bama, Tennessee at 3:30 on ABC. You got a couple good ones in the night slate too. LSU, Arkansas. I think Arkansas is kind of better than expected. LSU, I don't really trust, so I think that'll be close. UGA, Texas, another huge heavy hitting game at 7:30 on ABC, and then K State, West Virginia at 7:30 on Fox. I'm just interested in that one because did you guys see the Neil Brown quote that came out maybe an hour ago or so?
I saw. I think I saw you tweet about it. It was like I don't know why the fans care so much about winning. I just hope they're having fun.
More or less, it was that insane loser shit. I hope they employ that guy forever because he doesn't get it. Bama, Tennessee, UGA, Texas. You guys get any leanings in those games? The big heavy hitters this weekend.
Give me Texas.
Yeah, I'm taking Texas at home. On that one, I think they're 4-point favorites. I'll take their money line, not necessarily to cover, but would also not surprise me if Kirby Smart gets the boys up for this game and puts Georgia back in the top three with a win here. So should be a good one.
I'm probably leaning Texas. Like, I don't know. I think Georgia had a really poor game on defense against Mississippi State, who is not good at all. But that might be a jinx. Georgia is still really good, and I think that I don't know. Their offense is more what we saw in the second half of that Bama game than we did in the first half. But Mason, you had something to say.
I was actually going to be moving on to the other game. So
Perfect segue.
I'm
Go
good.
ahead.
Yeah. Give me the Volunteers also. What do they call that rivalry? Does that one have a name?
Third
Bama,
Saturday, something like that.
Bama and Tennessee. I don't know. Regardless,
It's
give me
called the third Saturday.
third Saturday.
It's because the third Saturday in October.
There's a Morgan Wallen song about it.
Yeah,
Tennessee
so
fan.
the game is known as the third Saturday in October because guess what? They play it on the third Saturday in October. Who would have fucking thought? Yes, that's the name of the rivalry. Go ahead.
Yes. Yeah, I would like the Volunteers to win this one as well. I think Bama's 2.5-point favorites on the road. Bama could have easily lost again this past week.
That's why I'm picking Tennessee, to be honest with you. I know Tennessee had a stinker 2 weeks ago and then barely got out of Florida with a win. But I think because of those two kind of crazy games that the fans in Neyland Stadium are going to be going fucking crazy. And I don't know. Alabama has just not been doing it for me lately ever since they lost.
It would be hilarious if Alabama loses twice to teams in Tennessee and causes goalposts to be carried down the street twice.
People are going to stop scheduling Bama because they're just a goalpost team.
I think I like Tennessee in this game. Like I mentioned that I think Georgia is closer to the team we saw in the second half of the of that Alabama game than in the first half. I think this it's also the same of Alabama where like everything stopped working in that second half and they have not been the same since. And I think that Alabama has a very weak secondary. And I think the way Tennessee's been getting slowed down the last couple weeks has been like these drop 7, drop 8 defenses. And Bama's got a ton of young players. And I don't know if that bodes well for them. If you can get Nico on, he's going to tear you up. So I like the Vols at home. I love home teams wearing orange, I suppose. Now, do you gents have any games for me?
I guess. So
I got a game for you.
All right, hit me.
We're going to Atlanta, Georgia, where Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets bring Notre Dame to town. I think Notre Dame's been kind of quietly doing this thing where, yeah, they lost earlier in the season, but they're going to keep winning games. They're going to keep creeping back up into the rankings. They got all the way up to 12 this week. And
They're 12? That's
yeah, right. I told you. I don't know how it happened, but they're at 12. They are 11-point favorites going into Georgia Tech, and this feels like a game that Georgia Tech could muddy up, get gross, and make it funny.
I think they've kind of proved in games against Florida State and UNC that their offense is good enough to hang with anybody. And if they do it to Notre Dame, I would laugh. I'm not expecting a lot, but also I feel like Notre Dame has been very quietly like they're the 12th ranked team in the country, and I haven't thought about them since they lost to NIU. Part of that is because their schedule is so bad. But it would be so nice if Georgia Tech did the world a favor and kicked Notre Dame out of the first ever 12 team playoff. I think that would be great.
Yep. I have an
Yeah.
honorable mention too, if you want it.
Dude, hit me.
You touched on Mississippi State last week, kind of giving Georgia a little bit more than they probably should have. Mississippi State over A&M this weekend would also be very funny for pretty much the exact same reason that I just gave for Notre Dame. But Mississippi State might be the worst fucking team in the SEC. If they're the ones that cause Texas A&M to kind of drop out, that would be hilarious.
Yeah, let's not forget that Mississippi State lost at home to Toledo. I believe was the MAC team they lost to at home.
Yeah.
They got 40 dropped on their head by Toledo. That would be like an all-time funny game. Basically, give me 2 quick rankings out of 10 on your 2 games here.
Notre Dame, Georgia Tech is going to be like a 7-1.
Okay.
I think that A&M Mississippi State would be a little bit funnier, honestly. That one would be close to like a 7-9 just because of the SEC implications. You don't really get that with Georgia Tech and Notre Dame with them being independent. So the SEC trash talking from Mississippi State fans, the A&M fans would be worth the price of admission here.
I like that. Ken, get me in the holiday spirit, will you?
Yeah, I got one of those for you. I also have 2 other games I just want to mention. I was a little surprised, Zach, that you skipped over the Notre Dame Georgia Tech game for reasons Mason mentioned. But 2 other games that, I mean, obviously Pitt's on a bye, but if we want to move up, we got to hope some teams rank a little bit above us, take an L. Couple other games with somewhat close spreads. Indiana at home against Nebraska. Nebraska's 5-1. It's Indiana's a 6.5 point favorite at home. That game's at noon on Fox. That could be interesting. And then Mizzou has looked really good, but they're 4.5 point favorites at home against Auburn on ESPN at noon as well. So those are two teams on potential upset alert, I would say.
I like that.
I think I would say that Mizzou has not looked good, but the issue is that they're playing Auburn, who has looked awful. So I don't know if we're going to get an upset there.
It's the
But
Tiger
I agree
Bowl.
that it is a Tiger Bowl. You're right.
You throw the records out.
They didn't look good 2 weeks ago.
Who'd they play last week, Ken?
Huh?
Oh, that's right, UMass.
Yeah,
at the shit
UMass, but
at UMass too, right? That's such a weird one.
Yeah, that is a weird one for October. But yeah, Christmas matchup of the week is just going to be Miami Louisville. Good matchup. We already talked about it. Not going to get too much more into it. I like the Cardinals to maybe pull the upset there. I'm gonna call it. I'm gonna pick it. But we'll circle back on that one.
I like it.
I'll go with the Cardinals. I'm going to emotionally follow that. I just want Miami to lose. So, yeah, I like that.
And yeah. I told you my play. I like Miami big. Move the line.
Yeah, our preseason to make the college football playoff parlay is already dead. So we can kick Miami out of there. Let's just get them out.
Yeah,
that helps the Panthers. Let's get the Panthers into the ACC championship.
Yeah, the whole reason we took that parlay was so that if Pitt sucked, we might have rooting interest elsewhere. Well, guess fucking what? Pitt's good, so fuck those other teams, baby. Let's just go win.
Yup.
What a way to send us off. That's going to do it for us this week. If you like the show, make sure to follow us on Twitter at SimplifiedPod. Give the podcast 5 stars in your listening app of choice. Give us a review. It helps us out a ton. And we'll see you next time. And thank you for letting us do 100 episodes into your brain directly. Love you.
Wow. Hail to Pitt.
6-0.